So, Pac-Man World 2 RE PAC is finally coming out. I remember hearing people talk about a remake of 2 way before World 1 RE PAC came out. But when it did, you know the fans weren't going to shut up until we got the sequel remake we really wanted. There is a small part inside of me that kind of thinks maybe they just remade the first game so then they could remake the second game, and while I don't entirely believe that, it's very possible. No matter what the situation is though, all we can do right now is dive deep into the controller and play Pac-Man World RE PAC. I'm not gonna lie, because of this remake, the plot is really weird. You see, in the PS1 game, it was Pac-Man's 20th anniversary at the time, and the game was made as a 20th anniversary release. Because of that, the game actually tied that into the plot a little with it being Pac-Man's 20th birthday. Because of that, it just feels really odd because the original Pac-Man World was an anniversary game, but the remake isn't an anniversary game, but then the original Pac-Man World 2 was not an anniversary game, but then the remake to 2 is an anniversary game, and it's very odd, but it's kinda hilarious. Birthday aside though, Tockman, this robot evil Pac-Man, is basically just trying to get Pac-Man over to his island so he can kill him and take over as the real Pac-Man. The way he planned to do this was by having Pac-Man captured by the ghosts. But because the ghosts are idiots, they end up capturing Pac-Man's family thinking, oh, they all look like him. And they think, oh, it actually is Pac-Man, but there's more than one Pac-Man? And it's dumb, but it's funny. Especially when one's a dog and the other is Puka from Dig Dug. I don't know how Puka looks like Pac-Man, except they're both round. Also, spoiler, under the robot is actually a ghost who is controlling Tockman, and that's why the ghosts are actually working for him. I feel like that's just something I need to mention now, which the game doesn't reveal until the end. Also, this whole family being captured thing creates two different game endings. So basically in each world there is one family member and you can save them by getting a key and bringing it to the cage they're in. The key can either be in the same level or a different level within the same world. If you don't save all 6 of them, then Tockman basically just gets eaten by Pac-Man. It's pretty funny. Also, a funny thing to note, which I think is really cool, is collecting and saving each family member isn't just something you can do for the sake of an ending, it actually affects the gameplay too. Because in the final boss, whenever you get to your last hit point, a family member will refill your health. And depending on how many family members you have, that's how many times you can do it before dying. As for the gameplay, this game is a semi-3D platformer with a lot of 2D elements to it, and as for your abilities, you gain a rev roll, which is good for attack and traversal in various ways, a butt bounce, yes that's what it's called, and a flutter that sounds like the floor of your school gym room. The levels have a good bit of exploration for collectibles too. The most notable is obviously the fruit. Different fruit unlock different fruit gates to access either mandatory switches, collectibles, or of course more fruit. The magic key. This key can fuck off. So in 2023, I tried to 100% this game. I got every single collectible across all levels, but it was only stuck on 97%. The reason why is the magic key. I got every single collectible but this, and there was no warning about the magic key in the game either. You want to know what the magic key is and does? Every level combined has a high score, and that's basically the high score for your playthrough. You need the high score to be 770,000 for the magic key. And what does it do? You can open gates without collecting the fruit that normally open them. So let me get this straight. I need to get a key for 100% and all it does is open gates for collectibles I already own. Oh wait, I can also get extra lives and hit points that I don't need. This is all the key does. It's a smack to the face. It is a true smack to the face for going out of your way to do more in the game. And the worst part is if you try to do this on the PS1 version of the game, you need 1,000,000 points. I have no words. Play this game, but honest to God, do not go for the 100% and do not platinum it because, oh my god, that platinum is BS. There is also a Galaga, and if you get it to the Galaga Gate, you get a classic Pac-Man maze with the classic rule set with classic ghost movements, but also they have gimmicks depending on what world you're on. It's actually really cool. There is also the letters, which don't do much, sure, but I really like reading them out in the most literal way possible. It's really dumb, and I sometimes do this with other games like Donkey Kong Country Returns as well. But yeah, it's a really dumb thing of mine that I just love doing. I also love how the letters and lives are all on the screen at all times, including a score too that tells you what your total score is of that level, a lot like an arcade game, and while I don't think it would work for a lot of other franchises, but it works here, Pac-Man as a franchise, because it's more stuck to its roots than say modern Mario games or modern Sonic games or whatever else, I think you can get away with it with Pac-Man just because of that and the fact that the arcadey feel has always been stuck with Pac-Man. And obviously, even in this game and many other titles, they use the classic pixel art for different things. Pac-Man's just a lot more arcadey of a franchise, no matter where it goes. I do wish we could see the fruit at all times on the screen too, just because I sometimes feel like I have to pause the game to then look. It'd be a lot easier if it was just there at all times, and even for some fruit you need more than one for a certain gate. It's really rare, but it can happen. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. Focusing on the enemies now, I am so glad they didn't just go with ghosts, because they could have went, oh, just ghosts, here you are. But I think the game would have only been okay if they did that, where just a lot more enemy variety makes the game stand out more, and the enemies are really fun to deal with. They do still have the classic ghosts, and if you have a power pellet, which will always spawn nearby to a set of ghosts, then you can kill them. I think it just makes the ghosts stand out more, along with the other enemies also standing out more. I also really love the design of the giant Pac-Man you turn into when you have a power pellet. As for the bosses, they're mostly great. The simple yet pretty fun pirate ship fight is a great first boss. Next is the Anubis fight, which is also really cool. I love the start with the second person chase where you see from his perspective instead of your own. Fun fact, this isn't the only Anubis in Pac-Man, as Party and later on Pac-Man Monsters had Patra, which of course is an abbreviation for Cleopatra. So wait, is this meant to be Cleopatra's persona? God damn, I miss Pac-Man Monsters so much. Third was a Galaga-style space shooter boss fight. Fourth is the clown racers in the level titled perfectly Clown Pricks, because they're all clowns and they're all pricks. Fifth is this awesome robot fight where you need to dodge obstacles on conveyor belts, grab a metal pellet which basically turns you into metal, and then you have to attack the robot while dodging magnets, which is really cool because magnets will pick you up. And the final boss fight is an amazing challenging fight that tests you on your skills quite nicely. I do like that the first 5 have Tockman in the cutscenes too, that kind of has him influence what's going on in a sense. Apparently the PS1 game didn't have this, and he only shows up at the start and at the end. I feel like that definitely would have been kinda a big complaint of mine if I was reviewing the PS1 game and not the remake, so I am glad they fixed that. I remember not playing any of these games as a kid, but I played the racing spin-off Pac-Man World Rally. I also remember that for some reason, so if you're not playing as a character obviously, they will come up as a computer player, but for Tockman that never really happened. Like, he just didn't come up as a CPU player despite being a robot, but then if you play as him, obviously he's there because you're playing as him. I don't know what that was all about, but I just thought it was really interesting just to bring up. The game also has the metal pellet I just mentioned, which, how does he eat that first of all? Okay, questioning things aside, it is clearly a copy of Metal Mario from Super Mario 64. The thing is though, this game handles it far better, allowing you to not only sink in water and be impervious to attacks that would normally hurt you, but you can also open underwater chests, not get hurt by spikes or certain hot surfaces like stoves or pipes. But there's also magnets that will pull you up and can possibly drop you into danger, meaning that being metal of course has its own downsides. Also, I may as well mention that Ghostly Adventures also had a metal Pac-Man, and I think the design there is actually really goddamn cool. Overall though, I really like this game. and I definitely recommend picking up a controller and playing Pac-Man World RE PAC.